Cutters, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Dub and welcome you to another Degrassi Unpopular Opinion and slash hot take. And basically, this is a hot take that a lot of people actually have had. And this person specifically has done it. So basically, I know this is like only from a few days ago. And for context, this is being taped on March the 6th, 2021. But basically, this person named Blue3838 said Emma's trauma from episode 2. And says, I'm rewatching season 1 and commented to my sister about how Emma's very scary experience with the Predator gets dropped. I'm on episode 10 now, and she seems hyper-vigilant about protecting Liberty and interprets mostly normal interactions as sexual. Do you think this is a trauma reaction or just Emma's personality? And have you guys seen this traumatic experience manifest in other episodes? So before I go with the comments that people have said, some context. Now, episode 2, well, the first 2 episodes were the mother and child reunion. That's when Degrassi came back on Canadian Airways for the first time in more than a decade. And basically, Emma is Spike's daughter, and she interacts with other children her age, like Manny, JT, and Toby. And basically, Emma is talked to on the internet by a boy by the name of Jordan who shares her love for the environment and all that. And says he wants to meet Emma. And Emma feels great about it. Emma asked Caitlin what to do about this situation, but Caitlin said, well, you go for it, Emma. Do what you have to do. And basically, Emma's happy about it. Of course, we all know the subplot was when there was a reunion and we would see many of our Degrassi Junior High/High faves come back in some shape or form. So basically, Emma learns that she's been catfished and that the guy's threatening to kill her if she talks and all that. He goes to the bathroom. Emma basically tries her best to get out of the situation. But basically, thanks to Toby's computer hacking and JT and Manny being concerned, they go to the reunion and talk to Miss Nelson, a.k.a. Spike, and tell Spike about this whole thing. About Emma might be in trouble and all that. And basically, with Snake's help, they get the guy. Emma's computer got taken away, obviously. And basically, she made a dumb mistake. And Spike says, you should talk to me about these things because I'll be able to help you. I will help you, Emma. I really will. I would love to help. You get a return. So anyway, yeah. So, Emma has this experience. And then by episode 10, that's the episode with Emma mistakes Armstrong's affection towards Liberty for her dyscalculia as affection and basically starts some rumors. Armstrong gets investigated, but Emma decides to talk to Radich and tell about her side of the story, which clears Armstrong. And Liberty is upset at Emma, basically saying that she should focus more on her environmental stuff than anything else because you make a lousy friend. Emma and Liberty basically were frenemies for the rest of the series. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. But basically, Emma has a problem. And basically, this person says that basically maybe after her catfishing experience, she gets a little too uncomfortable with things. And remember, this is catfishing before it was part of the popular lexicon. All right, so someone said Emma just has an obsessive personality. It was never mentioned or tied back into any part of the show, but the writers could have used an explanation. And she does show signs of trauma after the event that happens much later in the show. And the author said, yeah, Emma's hero complex and boundary issues are what makes me post the question because she has a habit of making other people's molehills into mountains. And people were like, that makes sense. And someone says, I think the Liberty situation and how comfortable she was with physical touching and kissing in the early seasons could be tied back to that experience and all that. Yeah, it's weird and all that. Someone said, I agree it's weird how it got dropped, the catfishing thing, but then brought up again. Also, I think she went way too far in Liberty's situation and actually should have talked to an adult if it was bothering her rather than accusing Mr. Armstrong. I think it's her personality in the situation. Emma was always into feminism and empowering women. And this might have tied in with her traumatic experience with the online predator. So basically, I guess what they're trying to say is that, Emma probably got traumatized by being catfished and all that. Like she is kind of kicking herself and all that. She has the right to kick herself, but not too far out. I mean, a lot of people probably thought that Emma was just being a little nervous. And Emma was looking out for Liberty. But then again, I mean, like, Emma and Liberty weren't really that close as friends and all that. Except for season 8, when Emma was clinging on to Liberty and Manny as a friend group. And then when Liberty went to pre-law and Manny went to Hollywood, Emma had no friends left. But yeah, like, they never mentioned this whole catfishing thing again. Although in season 3, when Emma was looking for her dad, we're looking for Shane, she asked Caitlin, what should I do about this whole situation? And Caitlin basically said that your mother has the right to privacy and all that. A lot of people said that because Caitlin kind of pushed Emma into the direction of the predator, that Caitlin probably thought twice and basically decided not to give Emma advice. But I mean, all this stuff. I mean, Emma was a little nervous and all that. I mean, like, she was looking out for Liberty. Liberty didn't appreciate her efforts, I guess. But, Emma was basically being hated at, all that. So in my opinion, did that catfishing thing could that have played a part in her later seasons and all that? Hard to say in hindsight, because it's like, well, okay, maybe she's a little nervous and all that, and she's uncomfortable with a relationship and all that. It's hard to say though. Personally, I think that Emma's trauma, that trauma of the being catfished, led to the trauma later in seasons and all that. She didn't really have that much trauma after season 1. Season 2, she didn't really have trauma. She was angry that, Spike was dating her teacher and all that. I mean, as a student, you have to be concerned about that. And basically with Sean getting back into her life and all that, and then Sean ditching her for Jay's gang. Like, Emma was upset that Sean moved on. And I mean, she had every right to, because Sean is not supposed to be a thug. Sean's misunderstood, but he's living the thug life, reals. I can see why Emma was not too pleased with that. And then basically, she didn't go through trauma dealing with Manny. She just basically was looking out for Manny, thinking that she's being too sexualized and all that. Manny takes it as something else, and basically Emma and Manny are not really friends anymore. Well, I mean, Manny having sex with Craig on Manny and Craig having sex on Emma's bed. I mean, come on, people, really. So basically, and then, Manny being pregnant and having an abortion, Emma said that you shouldn't have an abortion. There's great adoption agencies. And Manny says, I don't think I'm ready to have a kid yet. And then Emma turns around and tells Craig that basically she shouldn't abort the baby. I agree, but it's her body and her choice. The female's choice is huge. So basically, thank God for that. So yeah, like, everyone's like, wow, that's weird how Emma did that. Maybe Emma was just basically pushing her boundary. But, that's the thing. Emma could have her views on abortion and all that, but be positive towards it and towards Manny, because it is Manny's choice. But of course, Emma ticks everyone off by saying that if she wasn't my best friend, I'd be ticked. But it's possible that Spike might have talked to her, because remember, Spike basically was talked to by Manny before Emma got to know everything. Season 4, she had trauma. I mean, Rick had a gun in her face, especially after Emma basically told Rick, I never liked you. I was just protecting you. Get a clue. And he took it as anger. Now, I don't think he was ready to shoot Emma. As we saw in Time Stand Still Part 2, he wanted to get rid of Paige because of Paige spreading the anti-Rick rhetoric. But Paige calmed him down without knowing he had a gun. Maybe she kind of figured Rick had a gun. Like, she knew Rick had a gun, but did she really know that Could she have had an inkling that she might have been targeted? Who knows? So basically, yeah. And then Rick, calms down, but then Spinner and Jay blame everything on Jimmy. He shoots Jimmy and then basically finds Emma conveniently around the corner and basically wants to destroy Emma for spreading his advances. No one stops him except for Sean. And of course, Rick dies by his own gun. And Emma felt traumatized. I mean, in season 4, after that, like, the funny thing is, the next few episodes with Emma and all that, she doesn't really show a lot of trauma. I mean, yes, the Monday after in Back in Black, she showed a lot of emotion because people were staring at her because, the whole thing about Rick pointing the gun at Emma and all that, and everyone finds out, and Emma's, scared of everything. I don't blame Emma at all. I she has her own opinions. But the fact of the matter with me is that, Emma, but Emma was fine. Even in Voices Carry, the drama club, she doesn't show any signs of trauma. And then when Secret comes, it starts to be that Emma's been basically holding in her trauma because, she is expected to bounce back. She always bounces back. She has this whole personality trait that she bounces back from everything, and everyone says it. And everyone says that Emma should be fine. And then basically they're like, why isn't Emma bouncing back and all that? They're putting pressure on her. And then she decides to go through her trauma by having an illicit relationship with Jay, even though that she doesn't have sex. She has oral sex with Jay. He still spreads gonorrhea to Alex, Amy, and Emma, for that matter. And Emma realizes that she's terrible. And she basically tells Spike and Snake after Rick had died that she thought she had to be perfect for everybody and all that. It's kind of an admission of guilt that she probably felt like she contributed to Rick's bullying and all that. But then again, I mean, the whole Orange Ribbon campaign was about domestic violence and all that. But the students took it farther than what Emma thought. Emma thought it was just going to be normal, but, this whole bullying stuff and all that. I mean, the students took Emma's cause out of context. And the worst part about this is that basically that combined with the administration screwing up in handling the whole Rick situation, which I alluded to in an earlier unpopular opinion a couple of videos ago. Basically, it just led to trouble. I mean, honestly, the students were mad the administration didn't take their cries for help seriously. And, that was partially why Raj got fired. Yeah, sure, he got fired because he ignored Rick and all that. But basically, there's always stuff that builds up. And basically, Raj isn't going to tell anyone why he got fired. So, yeah, so Emma went through emotional trauma. She basically swore off boys for the end of season 4. And no, I doubt she would have been a lesbian. And then season 5, she wants to be with Peter, and even though Peter put her friend in a bad situation, she still feels something for him. I think she just wants to be a normal teenager. And that whole PTSD thing reset her character in the wrong way because I think fans would have loved to see the earlier Emma in season 5 basically shut Peter off. And, Emma would be praised for her job, not by changing her attitude about people and basically becoming an idiot in my mind. So yeah, and the whole JT situation, all that led to PTSD because she was probably feeling guilty that it was at a party that they threw for Liberty, where Spike and Snake were not around. That basically JT got stabbed. Maybe Emma felt like if they didn't throw the party and all that, then JT would have been alive. Maybe she was just feeling guilt that, that whole happened. But it seemed that Spike and Snake were not really giving her a lot of flack for it. But maybe she just gives herself too much flack. She kind of figures that she's going to get into a lot of trouble and all that. And, Manny abandoning her and all that in her mind. She was traumatized. But it's an open-ended question. This whole catfishing thing, did that lead to a lot of trauma in her life? Yes and no. I mean, yes, maybe it struck something, and then every time that Emma had trauma, it went back to the catfishing without even talking about the catfishing. And no, Emma was doomed to fail otherwise. I don't know. It's an open ended video, I guess you can say. I don't really have an answer. But then again, I guess you guys probably do. I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.